All right. Omar Shoukry Sakr is an entrepreneur. He is the CEO and founder of Nawa Scientific, the first private multidisciplinary research center for natural and medical sciences in Egypt and across the whole of Middle East and North Africa. He was awarded the Africa Business Euro's second prize in 2019. So this is a very short bio. Guys, if you want, you can read about this amazing man. You can read about him. He's such a great person, an African business giant, and I'm not even trying to be, I'm not even trying to sugarcoat anything, right? It's an honor for us to have him here today. And as others join on, I want us to, listen and, let's just, okay, thank you, Okoyemi. Okoyemi has shared the screen. Let's just listen. I implore us. That's the essence of this gathering. How can we move Africa forward through innovation? And when the going gets tough, how can you wield resilience? This is an example of someone that has walked the journey and is successful. So I really want us to, pay attention. Thank you very much, Omar. Thank you.
Thank you, Omolewa, very much. Thank you so much for the kind words. This is very much overwhelming. I'm just another African guy. I'm a friend. We're all more or less the same age. So I'm considering this as a cozy, cozy meeting, casual meeting. I hope everyone is having his coffee, enjoying his, sofa. And by all means, I'm not like a mentor or something. I'm just someone who, as you said, who has done this journey before. And I'm here to tell you guys some stories of what worked and actually what didn't work. So by this, let me share my screen. I hope it works. Okay. Should be working now. So it would be great if you guys can tell me if my screen actually works. If you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So I got this very kind invitation from Omolewa to speak about the topic of entrepreneurship in Africa, driving innovation and wielding resilience. And as much as this topic is let's say, very important, it's still very wide. So I was wondering what exactly should I be sharing on such a topic. So I ended up with a decent methodology. I hope you would like the stuff I brought for you. Just as a start, I would like to give you a little bit about my background, because before becoming an entrepreneur, I was an academic. I was a university professor. I'm a pharmacist by education. Then I got my master's degree in Germany, then PhD degree in Geneva. I was teaching pharmaceutical sciences. And then I decided to switch. So I went to London, got my MBA, and went to the, let's say, the more business side of things. Again, I was teaching entrepreneurship at the university. Then I headed to my startup and I founded Nawa Scientific back in 2015. So what I'm going to share with you guys today is a decent mix between what you can find in academia and what you can find actually within real life. The style of, I've been there, I've done that. So this is what I'm prepared for you today. Our 7 years journey in Nawa Scientific, we already won let's say most of the awards in the continent. Here you can see this one was in Egypt, Rise Up Summit. This was in Cape Town. And this one is from Africa Business Heroes back in Accra in Ghana in 2019. Just I want to check something. If do you hear a lot of background noise or is it okay? Is my voice clear enough?
It's clear enough. It's clear enough.
Okay, yeah.
The voice is clear.
Thank you. Perfect. Also, one thing to take out of the conversation, usually when you meet some people coming from North Africa, for one reason or another, we are not considered so African, which is something I hate. And what I love about these conferences is that we as youth, we are the true Africans. We speak the same language, we share the same DNA, we share the same culture. So please, regardless of politics, here you can see this is my company expansion plan, just to show you that I'm facing the same challenges every other African entrepreneur is facing. So if you're coming from North Africa going down, or if you're coming from Nigeria going to Egypt, which is a trend these days, I have a couple of Nigerian founders who are actually expanding to Egypt. We are the African entrepreneurs, and we are connecting this country together, this continent together. We're facing the same challenges. Okay, so the way I see it, if we quickly consider the life span of an idea, jumping from the initial thought up to the execution of a very scalable project, it goes through four main ideas, through four main steps. The first step, or the first phase, is that phase when you came to encounter the problem, and then the problem inspired you to have a solution for it. Actually, this is one big major difference between entrepreneurs and normal people. Normal people would complain, entrepreneur will start to act. And I'm happy that someone has already raised that notion yesterday. Stop complaining, start acting. Because an entrepreneur could see every single problem as a challenge. I mean, a normal people would see it as a challenge. We see it as opportunity, because if you can solve a problem, you can actually make money out of it, and at least solve the pain for other people. So there is this phase where you keep thinking about the idea, keep coming with the solutions for it. The next phase should be the idea validation, where you actually start taking steps on the ground, start talking to people, validating your assumptions, building your business model, thinking of what will work and what would not work. And if you do this in a proper way, you will be ready to market, launch your idea into the market, and start facing the real truth. And if things go well, you will start facing the challenges of execution. So what I'm going to do today to capture this title of Entrepreneurship in Africa, Wielding Resilience, is I will be commenting on each phase of those. What are the tips and tricks? What are the insights? What are the very practical take-home messages that you can take with you home? And then I will spare some good time to talk about resilience, because COVID has taught us some very hard, let's say, wired lessons, and we're using this now. I mean, no one can argue that we are now facing a financial crisis. This is global. This is worldwide. So we could learn a thing or two from the COVID times, and I will show you this comparison, what we have learned and what we can apply during such hard times. Before I start going on, this presentation probably will go for maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes maximum, and then I will spare some good time for questions and answers. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them by the chat. I'll go through the chat at the end, or just write them somewhere so that you don't miss them through the tool. So let's go. This is phase one, problem versus idea generation. When you check literature and research about how people usually start their own entrepreneurship journey, if you check with founders, how did you guys start your company? You will find one more or less of these answers. Some people will tell you, I was inspired by the emergence of a new technology, such as blockchain. So I thought, yeah, why not having a company that evolves around blockchain? Some people are more inspired by introducing a new product over an existing technology. For example, laser is an existing technology, but how about developing a laser cutting machine? How about developing a surgical method using laser? So there is enormous number of applications for laser, and you can be inspired by laser to come up with more ideas just to use laser. Some are inspired by ideas. How about connecting buyers to sellers? Okay, it's cool. How about connecting artists to their fans? How about connecting photographers to, or young freelancers to the global audience? All those are nice to have ideas. Some are inspired by a certain type or segment of customers. Most probably, if you are like you're a mother, and then you understand what are the challenges facing mothers, and then you end up, you know what, I want to do something for mothers. The last answer would be, I'm inspired by problems. When I face a problem, I'm thinking, how can I make something out of that? How can I tackle that problem? If I would ask you, please drop this in the chat. What would you think the correct start is? Should we start because we're inspired by technology? Should we start because we're having a cool idea? Should we start because we're inspired by a problem? What is the most correct start among those five? Any contributions? Any ideas? Okay, I am seeing people writing on the chat. Okay, actually the correct start is this one. You should start from the problem. The other ones are not 100% wrong, but statistically, if you're starting your entrepreneurship journey to solve a problem, you will end up addressing the right market with the right solution, not being biased by, let's say, your love for a new technology such as blockchain, or your love for laser beaming, or or your bias towards a certain segment. So keep this in mind. You have to start with a problem in hand, and then you address, you build your whole journey around the problem. But the critical question here is, which problem should I solve? Is it like any problem could be a foundation for a strong startup? Actually, the answer is no. And this brings the notion of a problem worth solving. So not every problem could be a base for a successful journey. So what is a problem worth solving? Let's define what is a problem. A problem is a job that someone is unable to do or can do with a lot of friction. So this is a problem. But a problem worth solving is a problem that is not solved efficiently with available solutions. As simple as those two lines can sound initially, but I can tell you so many, I've seen so many startups with very brilliant founders, but they were addressing problems that in the eyes of the customers were not worth solving. Have you ever came across this founder who tell you, you know what, I want to introduce a new app for hearing music. I will make hearing music more social, more interactive, more fun. So in his words, he's trying to convince you that there is a problem in hearing music. But then when they hit the market, the customers will say, you know what, we have already 5-6 applications to hear music on our phone, and we're not actually interested in trying something new because the value you're providing is very minimal. So there is a couple of cool features, but we're happy with Spotify, we're happy with Anghami, we're happy with iMusic, whatever the application you're using is. So you have to make sure that the problem you have spotted is actually a problem worth solving. How would you do that? This is a simple scheme here. Just write down the first words. First is observe. So you have actually to spend some time with people facing that problem that you envision to solve. You have to identify the pain and friction points. What are actually the pain points in their experience? What is the job that is not done well? And then find which of these pain points could be enough to trigger a change. For example, as I told you, are cool, but are not enough to trigger a change. But we'll dig into this deeper, but this will go for another discussion. But just find what are the actual deep pain points, and those are the ones you tackle. If you put this together, then you have identified the problem that is worth solving. Now, moving from the problem, now you have a problem in hand. What is the solution you're going to provide? You will start brainstorming with your co-founders. You will start doing your market research, whatever the method you're going to do, and then you're basically going to develop several solutions. The best technique to develop solutions for a problem is called design thinking. And just take the words and Google it for later. Design thinking works something like this. It's a several steps process where you immerse yourself into the problem, you empathize with your customers, and then you ideate, you come up with ideas, you prototype, you offer those prototypes to your customers, get validation and feedback, ideate again, prototype, validate, ideate again, and then you keep rotating here till you have something that your customers fall in love with and they are ready to take money out of their pockets and pay you to get their problem solved. So now you see, we moved from what is the problem worth solving to what is the idea that matches that particular problem. And this is the process called design thinking. Now, when you do this exercise, you have to decide if you are building a startup or if you are building a small business. So let's define both, and we identify the pros and cons of each one, and then decide if one way is better than the other or not. So those are the three major differences between small business and startups. A small business would typically adopt a traditional business model, like, okay, in this neighborhood, people are hungry, so let's have a restaurant, fair and square. A startup would say, how about having a mobile application that would collect orders from all the restaurants and then offer them to the client in one place, so that the client can actually order from several restaurants at once. Those are innovative business models. Second is the level of risk. If you're taking low risk, this is more of a small business style. If you're taking a higher risk, this is more of a startup style. And ultimately, the major difference is the scalability. Now, if your business is scalable, but like this, so low scalability, this is typically a small business style. If your business is highly scalable, so growing like this is more of a startup style. So now we see the difference between small businesses and startups. However, the thing that you actually don't hear in the media, and please pay attention to this point, you will see all the glory going to the startups and not to the small businesses, while statistically and economically and even financially, small businesses are more successful and more important to the economy than startups. The failure rate in startups is 85%. Again, 85%, 85. This means out of each 100 startups, 85 will fail and only 15 will survive. This means loss of investment, loss of jobs, a lot of losses down the drain. So what I actually criticize media about is they put all the glory, all the spotlight on startups, while small businesses are not under that glory. So please make no mistake, if you find a problem that should be solved using a traditional business model, go for it. The game is about making profit. If you can make profit using a traditional business model, there is no shame about that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. A local restaurant in a neighborhood that doesn't have restaurants might probably do much better than a mobile application to order food. Okay, so this is important to highlight. Okay, now we're moving from phase one, where you had this internal debate with problem, the idea, you generated some ideas, you validated the ideas. Now let's focus more on idea validation. This nice guy here is Eric Ries. This is the author of the very famous book, The Lead Startup. And Eric says, every entrepreneur thinks they have invented teleportation, while actually not everyone has. Teleportation is this fancy science fiction world of traveling space and distance in a second. So I disappear from here and I appear in Accra in Ghana, and then I disappear in Accra and then get to have dinner with my friends in Lagos and get back to my family in Cairo by the evening. It would be actually amazing if someone could invent that, but this is not the case. What happens is everyone falls in love with his idea and would defend his idea by blood. Like, this is my own innovation. This is like my kids. This idea will take the world by storm. This will be the next Facebook. This will be the next Uber. Well, this is not actually the case. So to avoid falling into that trap, you have to do very serious idea validation and market research. And guys, this slide is very, very important. And I typically say, if you want to forget anything I'm telling you today and forget just one thing, please remember this slide. There are 3 pillars for success as entrepreneur, and 3 pillars only. You need a problem, you need a solution, and you need a client to pay. You need a problem, you need a solution, and you need a client to pay. If you have those 3, I can almost guarantee you'll have a successful business. Probably someone will argue, Omar, I don't see capital. I don't see operations. I don't see technology. I don't see a lot of things. So my counter argument is every other thing than those 3 actually falls into those 3. You know the theory of the basic colors, the fundamental colors, the 3 colors that cannot be emerged using other colors, while all other colors can be emerged by mixing those 3. Just think of it. Under problem comes all the pillars like the market size, the scale, the size of the problem. Is it a need? Is it a cool to have? All that discussions. Under solution comes the tech, comes the scalability of the project, comes the cost effectiveness, comes the team, everything. Client to pay, this covers the most important aspect of your business that you have to make sure someone needs to pay that. To convince you even more, think of those 3 and tell me if you can take one of those pillars away and yet have a successful business. If you are not solving a problem, then basically you don't have a solutions and no one will actually pay. And if you don't have a solution, then you are just watching what's happening on the scene. And if you have a problem and you have a solution and no one wants to pay for it, you will actually also don't have a successful business. And this brings me, so this is the how you do research. There are quantitative methods and qualitative methods. Just Google the 2 terms. There is a lot of literature or a content out there on the internet on how to carry a market research. But this is a very, very important question. What do you think is the main reason startups fail? And I would highly encourage that you guys participate in answering this question. Let's think together. You can feel free to unmute, or you can drop a line by the chat. What do you think is the main reason why startups fail? Come on, guys. Is it money? Is it investment? What do you think?
Okay. Can I say something?
Please.
All right. So I think one of the reasons why startup fail might just be not being able to adequately know or identify a problem. Yeah, there may be a problem, but when you are not able to basically identify what exactly is the root cause of a particular thing you want to solve, you may find it very difficult to finding the solution to it because you're not able to identify what the problem exactly is. And so that's one of the root cause of failure. Not necessarily money. And then secondly, which I will stop here, is planning. Yeah. How you can bring your ideas together, how you can codify your beliefs, your values, how you can bring your ideas to book. I think not everyone can do that as well too. Yeah, people just go out even when there's money, there's enough funds. Some people just go out to start up a firm, but once they are not able to do proper planning, business planning, and have a blueprint for the startup, it may also lead to failure. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I will just keep receiving answers. So I would summarize your answer into planning and understanding of the problem. Thank you so much. Here on the chat we have from Miami, lack of adequate planning. And so there's 2 points for planning here. Not being identify who your target audience is. I would also, one of the reasons I think is the issue of payment, how to get a client to pay. Okay. Other insights? Anyone thought of the team behind the startup? Of someone thought of, let's say, the investment needed? Okay, let me show you what research is telling you about this. Now let's have some drum roll. Dun, 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 dun. The major reason why startups fail is building something nobody wants. This is crazy, because this figure that I'm showing you here is actually the result of a meta-analysis over several years. So this was not like the reason in 1 year. This is a very long study that's telling you companies who are very well funded, they have founders of top talents, and they have everything in place basically. They fail because they're building something nobody wants. Building something that is cool, something that is technologically amazing, but the customers are not willing to pay for it. So as simple as we go back to this 3 pillars. When I tell you that if you have a problem and you have an amazing solution, but you have no clients to pay, your business will fail. This is actually a finding that is supported by statistics. Now let's go through the other 10. Here you will see number 2 is hiring poorly, lack of focus. How many times, I cannot just remember how many times I came through a founder who's telling me, my company can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things, and I will spin out my company into 5 other spin-offs, and we will conquer the world. It is good to be visionary, it's good to be ambitious, but this is not how you execute things. You have to execute them one thing at a time, because as entrepreneurs, we all have very limited resources. So if you stretch yourself very thin over so many things, if you fight so many battles at the same time, this is where you lose your focus and you basically crumble down. Number 4 is to fail to execute sales and marketing. And as I usually like to say, business is about sales. At the end of the day, sales is the core essence of business. If you cannot sell your idea, if you cannot sell your product, if you cannot even sell your company to investors, then you will basically crumble as well. I will share these slides at the end, so you can go through the other reasons, but I wanted very much to highlight this one. The number 1 reason for startups fail is building something nobody wants. Okay, let's move on to the 3rd phase. So you have now an idea that is validated. You have done your market research properly. You have went out of your office. You have spoken to a significant number of clients. So you're not basing your company on your assumptions or your wishes. Okay, now you're ready for market launch. You will go full in to the market, and then you hit the following. I know this comic is very, very famous, but it plays a major role in this discussion. When you sit with your investors, your team, you put a very decent plan like this. We will do 1, 2, 3. We'll start selling here. We will open there. We'll have a couple of branches. We will become profitable in 2 years. In 5 years, we'll become a unicorn when we will raise, I don't know how much, $100 million. Okay. What happens is this, and you cannot see it. And what I'm telling you now is accept the fact that you cannot see it, because no one can. Okay. Reality is you'll be facing ups and downs, trophies and heights, hurdles that you didn't think of, probably a couple of monsters, maybe a couple of dragons on the way. So like, Okay, so this is what we face every single day. Now, let me take screenshot of this is from Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator, and I love this curve very, very much. It was already in a couple of his books, but I got this from his slides. Now, this is a curve where we plot the level of emotions versus time. Let's start here. Now we have built the team. We have the product ready. It's actually working. We have done the market research and people are excited. We got our initial funding. So we actually have cash in the bank. Enthusiasm is great. We have energy. We're going through the roof. We're now going to the market. What happens is we face reality. The mass market is not happy. Issues with the government, legal issues, problem between the founders, COVID, Russian war, I don't know what. Your morale keeps going down, 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 and then you feel you have actually hit a very strong wall, regardless of the amount of effort you have done in the market research. What you should be doing here is, as I put it here in this red square, experimenting and pivoting. Keep trying. This talk is all about resilience, as we discussed in the beginning. So you have to accept the fact that you will fall into this, what we call trough of sorrow. Okay, this will happen in Africa. This will happen in the Silicon Valley. This is part of the game, and it's very nice to know this early on because no one told us so. We had this high enthusiasm part, and then we hit the wall, and what the hell is happening? So it was very comforting to know that this happens for everyone. It happened for Facebook, it happened for Uber. So guys, feel good about yourselves. This happens for everyone. Be resilient, be creative, think of new things, keep experimenting, keep pivoting. Pivoting meaning change your business model, change the customer segment you're targeting. Accept the fact that your product is not targeting the correct customer and think of somebody else. Now, this is the part where 85% of the companies fail. But if you're hardworking enough, if you're lucky enough, you will find what we call a product market fit. And then actually your ship will start going up again, your plane will start taking off, and then you will scale, you become a scale up, which means a startup that has already passed the product market fit, and people are actually willing to pay for your product or service. This is a brilliant graph, again, by Paul Graham, and the title is The Trough of Sorrow. You have to know that this is coming. Okay, another important graph here is this one. Now you have your idea, you have built your product or service, go to the people, talk to them, and learn. If it is wrong, it's fine, pivot, and keep circulating here. And whatever the customer validate and the customer accept, you keep, so you preserve. Whatever the client is not happy with, you pivot and change. This is how you actually build a product that reaches this point of product market fit. I have a small story to share here. I'm just being conscious of time. Okay, maybe for time's sake, I'll share this story later. Maybe this graph will summarize what I'm willing to say here, which is, of course, you know what is this. This is the Angry Birds game. And if you know the story behind this huge success, there were 3 guys who started a company. They made 51 games. This is incredible. And the 51 games all went bust, never worked. They almost get broke. And then they told themselves, why not making one more idea? And idea number 52 was actually the Angry Games. And they made it out of despair. Like, we were very desperate. So let's make something that we can like blow steam of. And actually this one worked. Okay, now let's come to the last part of my talk about executing with resilience. You have hit the market, you have passed the trough of sorrows, you have passed the product market fit. Now you are leading a company like this nice boss here. Um, I want to share with you some lessons we learned during the COVID crisis. First, leading people. The take-home message is, please always remember to put people first. The health of your people takes precedence over the health of your business. This means their mental health. The level of stress in your company should be a killer to your team. And now, the more you care about your team, the more they will care about the business and their customer. So as a CEO, your major task is to care about your team, and then your team will take care of the business. Also, when we're speaking about people, please remember that your customers are actually human beings, not just numbers. So the more you empathize with your customers, the more they will love your brand, the more they will pay for it, and the more they will come as customers again. In hard times, you have to bring your culture to reality. Everyone should have a core value, and this core value should be the filters. How do you take your decision? Your team should know the core values, and it should be livable. It's not just a couple of words you put on the wall in a decent meeting room, but these are the filters you use to bring on your decisions. Now, you see in Nawa, we have three core values: family, integrity, and excellence. Communication with your team is key. You have to communicate candidly, comprehensively, and widely, especially in hard times. Be transparent. Bring the team and tell them, guys, we are having XYZ problem, and this is how we're thinking of going through them. Be open. Maybe the youngest office boy could have some creative ideas. So at hard times, you have to be very open to every single one in your company. Let them talk. At least they feel they have a share in the decision. Now, sometimes you will have to take hard decisions, and the correct way to do this is to have some buy-in. Buy-in means talk first with your senior leadership. Make sure they have an agreement with your decision. Convince them that this is the right decision to make so, and then take it to the next layer and the next layer. But always remember, you have to communicate comprehensively to everyone. But probably with the hard decisions, you would need to take some buy-ins first. Bottom line, be honest. Under no circumstances communicate fraud information, because this, if it saves you for a couple of days, it will always destroy you on the long term. So make sure you don't make this mistake. Leading cash. Now, as you possibly know, cash is king. This is a common saying in the entrepreneurship world. Cash is king, meaning even if your company is not growing, even if it's making some loss, you need to have cash at the end of the day. Otherwise, you will not have money to pay the salaries of your business, and then you will close your business. In these hard times, like these days, these are the, let's say, ideal times to revise every process and optimize expenditure. You know, you have to go operation by operation, step by step, and think, can I do this better? Can I do this in a more efficient way? Can I outsource? Can I automate? And then you can really screw the cost part and be very efficient. One thing I learned the hard way is negotiate, you will be surprised. Think of it like this. I consider myself a little shy guy. I don't do negotiation very well. When I started negotiating, but let's say in a reasonable way, I could actually get better deals for my company. 10% discount here, better payment terms there, and this will actually improve your cash flow cycle. Let's speak a little bit about fundraising. Now, these days, investment is getting more scarce. Investors are more cautious, and valuations are going down, actually very much down. So it is not time for big rounds. If you have your own company and you're fundraising, it is okay to raise small rounds, bridge rounds, till this, let's say, bad times go. I can tell you from history that good times and bad times never last forever. I've seen years where investors were so excited about anything. If you tell them a very bad idea, you could raise $1 million easy. Now, even with very successful companies, everyone is facing hard times to raise. But this will not last forever, and good times are not lasting forever. So we just have, to like tanker and persevere till we pass these hard times. Consider convertible notes. If you're not aware with the term, please write it down and Google it afterwards. Convertible notes are a sort of investment that gets you a quick amount of money, and you discuss terms later. So it's very helpful for those times, hard times. Now, to speak about strategy, in these hard times, think survival. It is not time for short-term tactics. Go for low-hanging fruits. It is good, again, to think 10 years ahead, but when it is very stormy and windy like now, your number one task is to keep your ship on the surface. If you think, your vision will not be counted. You see what I'm saying? So this is a game of survival. Think short-term. It is okay. Keep the long-term visions and ambitions for later. It's okay to pivot. Probably you have designed your business model in, let's say, last year, and then now we have hit economic recession, we have hit COVID, all that types of crises, and maybe there are better opportunities just disguised as crisis. Maybe you find a better opportunity after you hit the market. So be open and flexible to change your strategy and go for low-hanging fruits. Be agile, be flexible, and be creative. So let's put it as simple as this. Last but not least, let's speak a little bit about execution. Now, again, during hard times, seek efficiency and not glamour. Now, in good times, people you would see a lot of expenditure going to build the huge brands and on images and a lot of fancy expenditure. This is not the way you should play the game these days. Think of cost leadership. Cost leadership is a technique where you actually, instead of raising your price over your customer, who is already becoming more price sensitive, you think 3 times and 10 times about your cost. So you keep your prices as such, but you reduce your cost. This is a very good strategy to do in these days where our customers are actually very stressed. They have to fight for their lives. If you're not providing the number one basics for life, which is food, shelter, and safety, medication, it's good to think of cost leadership. Think of soft acquisition. This is a bunch of techniques where you can actually bring customers in without paying a lot for marketing. And I close my talk with this point. Always remember to be kind and understanding with your customers. Be ethical, even in hard times, because they will remember you. And they will remember that you were very ethical. You didn't make profit out of their pain. And when better times come, you will be remembered as a good leader, and this will definitely reflect on your brand. With this, I would like to tell you that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I wish everyone all the best, and I open the floor for questions. I apologize for taking a little bit more. I hope I didn't take so much extra time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Omar, for that amazing session. I actually learned a lot. I was here jotting and making screenshots of the slides, pictures. just what I think it would be amazing if we could get the slides, because I was trying to screenshot some pictures that actually spoke to me.
I would love to share them. Those are free material, so I will share it to you just after this though.
That would be appreciated. I really enjoyed your session. It was amazing. I think that someone just said that in the chat box. It was amazing. I learned a lot. And I also, what stood out for me was when you said something about when you have a problem, that table that's talked about the problem, the solution, and the client's willing to pay. It's not just enough to have a problem. That is, to identify a problem is important for a solution. And also when you prefer the solution and the clients are not paying, then you need to go back to your problem. It's really I think that's where just the question you asked about entrepreneurs, why do entrepreneurship fail? I think that also, it goes beyond having a problem. Also goes beyond preferring a solution. Your solution should be one that is very relatable. Okay, so for a quick one, before our time runs out, if you have questions, you can unmute yourself, or you can just drop them in the chat box. If you have a question for Omar before we close the session. Okay, I think, do we have a question? If you have a question, you can.
People are asking for the slides.
I have a question, if you don't mind, please. Omar.
Okay, someone has a question. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much for that very enlightening talk on resilience and business in Africa. The question I want to ask is, you've been very practical. You've been very, down to earth with this business proposition. I'd like to ask, how do we sustain this kind of communication? How do we maintain the momentum for a lot of African entrepreneurs, so that, like a kind of a mentoring program, will I call it mentoring, that you would, once in a while be available, maybe like a kind of a platform. If Miss Shobogo can provide a kind of a platform for steady interactions, even after here. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I love this question for the reason that, as I told you, we as entrepreneurs, we're young African entrepreneurs, we can connect this continent again together. Now, what I can tell you that in the last 3-4 years, there is a lot of events that is taking place either virtually or personally, in physically, that you can actually subscribe to. There is a lot of content. There is a lot of stuff. So to answer your question in short, if I were in your place, I would make sure I subscribe to most of these media outlets. You can see a lot of mentorship there. You can see a lot of, over LinkedIn, over Facebook, over Twitter, over all these social media stuff. Instead of wasting our time over TikTok, I'm not a big fan of TikTok. I apologize for that. But yeah, you know what? The founder of TikTok himself, when he describes TikTok, he says, this is to kill boredom. If we are really serious about making a change, we should not have spare time. If you see what I mean.
Exactly.
Yeah. So please subscribe to all those media outlets, and then you will find a lot of good content coming your way, and you will be inspired so much by the stories and small insights here and there, tips and tricks. This is at least how I do it myself. I'm subscribed and hooked to all good resources, and this keeps me busy. I have no time for TikTok.
Okay, I think we have another question. I think to add to what he said, I think our problem in this age is actually not lack of information. We actually have overdose of information online. It's just you just have to know what exactly you want, then go for it. Because gone are the days when we don't have much information. Now there are overloads of information online, overloads of programs, sessions you can join, most of them virtual and free. You just have to know what you want for you to be able to identify it when you see it. Okay. Someone also said he or she has a question. Oluwatobi Gundare, do you want to type it or you want to?
No. I think I would like to speak. Can I go ahead?
Please.
Oh yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Omar, thanks so much for this session. It was so amazing. And of course, I would like to get the slide. Sincerely appreciate it. However, to my question, my question is basically, as regards ideation, creating ideas to solve problems, and I think we delved into startups and and all. But however, how can we basically um put into consideration competition? For instance, we have a very established large company who is into a particular area, who is basically creating a particular service or solving a problem, and then you think there's something they are not doing better, and there's something you can actually bring to the table better. So how can you kickstart from there, knowing fully well that these are giants already in the industry? So how can you infiltrate such and then create a niche for yourself to actually be heard? Yeah, that's my question.
Okay. My quick answer to that one is avoid competition. I mean, we have millions of problems in Africa. If this problem is very well solved, so why should we waste time fighting the giants? Just shift to another problem that they are not attentive to. Actually, there is a whole book about this called the Blue Ocean Strategy, which
Okay.
tells you how to find blue ocean, which is the terminology for low competitive area, versus red ocean, which is the very high competitive area. One example for this is when Elon Musk launched Tesla. Now, the global market for fuel-based cars is very, very competitive. You have giants, you have Japanese, you have Germans, you have, all the nationalities, and everyone is fighting for a tiny extra stake of the market. Elon Musk came and said, guys, you're fighting each other for this fuel-based cars. I'm inventing electricity cars. Quote unquote, he didn't invent the car, but this is another story. He bought a company that actually invented the Tesla, but he was very smart to adopt the technology, the strategy of blue ocean market. He said, I'm pushing into a market that no one still is fighting for. I'm going for the electric car market, and I'm bringing electric cars to the hands of normal household people. This is the brilliance of Elon Musk. So again, think of another problem. Think of a space that is not so occupied by giants. And
Okay.
as I told you, Africa is full of problems. You can just shift to another problem and start working there.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was brilliant. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Omar. We are so very grateful for this lecture.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Omar. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, so in the absence of any further question, I would be handing this over to the next moderator for session. Dako, are you here already?
Okoyemi, please,
Yeah.
before we go ahead to Dako, I would like to say something.
Okay.
Okay. Omar, thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Words fail me. And this has been nothing short of a masterclass. I recently took a course at Harvard University on leadership, right? And I was noting that some of the things you were telling us leading through crisis were the things I actually learned, at the course from Harvard. And I was like, wow, this is gold, so thank you so much. Thank you so much. We truly, truly appreciate this. And the replay will be on YouTube. The impact is not limited to this place at all. The replay will be on YouTube, and people are still going to get it. Thank you so much for this contribution. And like you said, we are one Africa. Whether you're from North Africa or anything, we recognize we are all Africans. And that's why you are here today. So don't let it bother you. We are all Africans. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day. So therefore you can go on now. Thank you everyone for joining.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm sure Paul will be like, that's the first, but that's fine.
We can hear you.
Really?
Okay. So once again, thank you, Omar, for the presentation. Personally, I enjoyed that one, and I'm sure we are in for a good time. In the final session we'll be having this afternoon. So we've had three sessions so far, and I just want to say something about this conference. The idea about this conference is for us to understand how leadership can always influence growth and development in various communities in Africa. So when we talk about public policy, when we talk about transformational leadership, when we talk about entrepreneurship, all these things, they have one role or the other that they play when it comes to when it comes to leadership or when it comes to development. So basically, I would just like that we that we prepare our minds for the next session that we are going to be having. This next speaker is someone that when I heard like this person was coming, I did not really know the person, but when I heard this person will be coming, I don't stalk, just for the record, but I had to go online, like, you know what, this person is going to be taking something on media. I mean, I work in the media space, so I'm like, you know what, let me check this person. And when I saw the works that this person had done, I was like, you know what, okay, we're in for a great time. All the speakers we've had from yesterday, even up until this afternoon, they are top guns. Kudos to Omalewa and the team for bringing these amazing people to come and talk to us at this conference. Last year was an amazing time. This year is a much, much better time. And I'm certain next year is going to be really, really better. So I'll be calling on Lewa to read Lola Ayonda's bio. Lola Ayonda is she's with us already, and in a couple of minutes she's going to be talking to us about media for development through telling original African stories. So once again, I implore us to just hang tight. Like Omar said, if you have your coffee or if you have your juice or something, just hang tight. And Lewa, please, are you ready with the bio for Lola Ayonda?
Yes, I am.
All right, please go ahead.
All right, so I'll be reading Lola's bio now. Lola Ayonda is a multimedia strategist, author, and reformer. She has spent the last 7 years working with local and international nonprofit organizations, including Mercy Corps and Action Aid, helping them to leverage the power of media and storytelling to amplify their work, to attract more resources, to do more good. Before this, Lola worked in different capacities with radio and television stations. As a Pan-Africanist, Lola uses multimedia to spark debates, lead conversations, and influence action and grassroots development. Excuse me. Okay, thank you. And grassroots development. She has deployed strategic communication solutions to 34 plus development projects implemented in 108 plus communities on the continent. And multimedia productions and campaigns span various thematic areas, including decolonization, climate justice, tax justice, gender and child rights, anti-corruption, inclusive education, free and fair elections, equitable healthcare, and agroecology. She currently leads a team of creatives at Insightful Media, a company providing multimedia solutions to development partners to enhance the delivery of projects in Africa. Lola is an avid traveler. To unwind, she enjoys Afrocentric music, jazz, Afrobeat, and R&B. Her leisure is often spent with family or playing competitive games with friends. She is a FIDA tournament medalist. Wow, that's brilliant. So that is it. Here we have Lola Ayonda speaking to us about media for development, telling original African stories. Thank you so much, Lola. We are so honored to have you here. Thank you very much. You have the floor now.
Thank you so much, Amulewa, for having me. And thank you, Dapo, for stalking. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, we can. I did not talk too much, just a little bit.
Okay, all right then. It's a privilege to be here. And yeah, I'm excited to be here to learn and to share with you all. Okay, so this conversation will be engaging. So I won't just come and talk to you. We need to have a family meeting. So this is a family meeting, I like to call it. I have to share my screen. If I could get right to share my screen, that would be great. Admin, thank you.
You can now.
All right, so sharing. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can see it now. It's loading. Okay, now we can see it.
Okay, let's just be sure you're seeing the right thing. All right, so we have, can you see my screen? What do you see right now?
Yes, right now we see 3 things exercise.
All right, so jumping straight to it, be sincere with me when you're doing this task. When you think about yourself, what is the first thing that comes to mind? When you think about the next person next to you, that's the person next to you in your apartment right now or where you are. It can be your landlord, anybody. What is the one thing that comes to mind? The first thing that comes to mind. And then when you think about your community, where you're from or where you are right now, what is the one thing that comes to mind? If you could please type that in the chat box, I would really appreciate that. So 3 things exercise. Number 1, when you think about yourself, be sincere. What is the first thing that comes to mind? Number 2, when you think about the neighbor, maybe your colleague in the office, if you're in the office, or your sister in the same room with you right now, what is the first thing that comes to mind? And then when you think about your community, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Let's quickly do that. I'm trying to see what's in the chat box, and then we'll get right to it. Waiting for your feedback, ladies and gentlemen. Don't think too much. This is not JAMB exam. Okay, just be straight, just shoot. Tell us. Adenka says, one thing that comes to mind about her, be better. Okay. Looking forward to reading from everyone. Paul says, make him legitimately. Okay. Remember, when you think about yourself, you're thinking about yourself. The first thing that comes to mind. Okay, Omolara says, I am beautiful. My husband, I'm smart. Okay, great.
Let us think very well.
I think Omolara is saying that first thing she thinks about herself is that she's beautiful. And about her husband is that he's smart.
He's smart.
Oh, okay. Wow. She's with her husband. Okay, in the same room. Okay.
Girls band.
Right, that's right. All right, ladies, let's go. I want more. We are a lot on this call, about 17 plus, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Oluwa Demi Lauren says something around I'm strong. Great. Let's go. Let's go, guys. Okay, Yemi Shola says resourceful, and then Paul says best version of yourself. Okay. Adanchen says myself equals money. Adeosun says you've not done enough, I can do better. Okay, Adeosun, since you are very critical of yourself, I could be like that sometimes. Daniel says myself equals greatness. Yemi Shola talked about my community is impactful. Okay, sounds good. I'm having a bit of, okay. Okay, can you still see my screen properly?
Yes, yes, we can.
All right. So I'll stop taking the comments now and I'll do my own introduction personally. I like to call myself a Pan-Africanist, and my name is Nihin Lolawa Ayonda, proudly from the Yoruba nation of West Africa. I believe all Black people with roots in Africa share the same struggles and victories. We are one people. To move the continent forward, we need to look beyond our geography, our demarcations, and these demarcations sincerely were set by colonial masters. And for me, it's always sad to hear